Well, hey, folks, let's do it. Let's talk about transgenderism, transgender. Let's have fun with this. I wanted to make a point, and this is just my opinion, but I feel that I look better than most of the transgender guys out there. I haven't had a sex change. I won't, and I'm not trans. People ask me that all the time because I wear a shirt off the shoulder and stuff. Pacific does things just because I'm different, odd. Sometimes I like to do social experiments, but it's funny. There's statistics coming out about transgender guys. They're very suicidal tendencies. I heard the Dave and Buck show the other day claim that they're really not happy. That even though they do all this, and every trans that I've met at the club, I don't see a happiness there. I see a lot of strange behavior. I see depression. I see a lot of mental bizarreness. Guys coming in with a bra, but they forgot to shave off the chest hair. It's like, okay, if you're going to play the girl thing, you might want to look a little more feminine. I mean, I think it's funny. I gotta be careful that my nipples don't show, but it's funny. I can rock it better than they can. And I don't go in there with this. This I just do to be funny. I do it to be Facebook funny. And it's interesting to watch, though, that people will thumbs up my photos. When you just be yourself, even if it's different, people generally are okay with it. When you shove something in people's face, when you got to make a conscientious effort to talk in a femi voice, even though it's not natural, and you're going to walk around in a bra and a skirt and high heels, and you're going to have movements like a woman, everybody in the room is going to turn around and go. Now, I don't have transphobia. They would love to tell you that, but I don't. I am just a guy that likes to talk about issues. And just me being me, if I was to go in public wearing this getup right here, if I was to do this, boy, I'd get the stares and the glares and everything else. But you can see actual trans go out there, drag queens, which are being celebrated and welcomed everywhere from the Minneapolis Library to all other children's story reading time. And I do have a problem with that. Why are we singling out that group of people to read stories to children? What is the message they're trying to tell children? What is the reason that this administration is pushing this? Why is Bud Light pushing probably one of the ugliest males you could see out there as a trans on a beer can? I mean, I'm going to be honest. The guy is not handsome. The guy is not sexy in any way. I mean, he looks like the bona fide GEEK in the back of the class that's never going to get a date with anybody, male or female. And I'm not being insensitive here. I think there's somebody for everybody, but there are some people I look at and go, my gosh, that one's not going to get any dates. Uh-oh. You got to watch it. My areola showing. And I think it's interesting to poke the bear, to talk about this. This is June, so it's time to be proud. Proud of being gay, proud of being lesbian, proud of being trans. And you see gay pride parades across the U.S., which are nothing more than decadent displays of how dumbed down our society has become. To see butch women that were never graced with attractiveness, with bowl-shaped haircuts and ugly outfits and all the rainbow colors, and you go, okay, wow, yay, you're gay. Okay, now what? Gay people, to me, The whole militant gay are absolutely as passionless, as boring, as they need a life as you could possibly get. They're not well adjusted people. There is something wrong. And for me to say that, they'd say I'm homophobe, I'm inducing hate. Look at what I'm doing. I wear shirts off the shoulder all the time. I do it because I can. I do it because I like to make a point. I like to be sexy. I had an Asian girlfriend years ago. She had a red silk strap, spaghetti strap top. She went in the bathroom for a minute and I put it on. And this thing is getting old, so it's coming off. But it's funny. I put it on. She come out of the bathroom. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you look better than that than I do." And I said, it actually feels good wearing this thing. Some of us guys are a little strange. We like the feel of that stuff on us. But why can't people just be honest? I have a feminine side. I really do. I don't want to walk around talking in a feminine voice. But there is some fabric. I'd love to wear a silk spaghetti strap top and just walk into the club one day with black tight jeans and my little sparkle belt on and just sit there and watch people. It's really funny because people, they may not say a word, but their body language is very much telling. And trust me, I watch body language all day long. When I lived overseas and you don't know the language, you're going to learn the body language and see if people are approachable. And I watch guys sitting there with their good looking woman downing beer after beer, having flaky conversation. They're turned all the way out on the bar stool when I'm against the wall watching dancers and they're staring at me. And when I start moving, they start looking and then they start sending subtle messages. I have gotten in trouble by two distinct people that trolled the hell out of the channel. One is still going in a basement somewhere. Pandora hated the fact that I said that God said that homosexuality is a sin. It's funny how people get mad at me for saying that. Go read the Bible. It says it in there. But God also hates discourtesy, Ponzi schemes, people that refuse to follow the laws in their car or in the workplace. God doesn't like a lot of things. Our society likes to single out homosexuality. Churches like to single out men with lust, porn, and masturbation. But those same churches are silent about the behavior, the edgy and rude attitudes of today's women. And it's really sad when you go to a local church and you're supposed to get the truth, so help me God, and you're not getting it. And you got gentlemen like myself, and even some women speaking out on YouTube, calling out what is. And they're speaking more truth than you'll get in a Sunday morning pulpit. Many people that went overseas, like myself, when we came back to the US, our vision became clearer. Women are spoiled, women are narcissistic, and women are very much entitled in this country. And to date today's women is a joke. When I go into the club, I see the women that think they're all that on a stick. I see women that they don't want to date anybody, but they want to dress provocatively, dance provocatively. And when any man tries to get close, they turn around and they make rude comments like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." And I've said it before, women were not made for themselves. This whole idea that women were made to be selfish, narcissist, and it's my body and it's my, no, it's not. You were made by God to be a helpmate for men. And me just saying that will elicit all kinds of lovely, flowery, and positive emotions from American females, right? But look at women today. They're doing great without us, right? They're obsessed with their dogs. They talk about dogs. They're obsessed with SUVs. I just watched a show that a friend of mine showed me on SUVs and what they call light trucks, and how we have gone so stupid in this country that the accident rate has actually increased, that you're not safer. There's this lie that if you're in something bigger, you're safe. You're not. And the guy very pointedly said that people who drive SUVs drive like a-holes, men or women. There's a mentality with people who have to have an SUV. And look at where the SUVs are in big cities that never get snow, where there's no off-roading. That the corporate world has capitalized on American stupidity to separate them from their hard-earned dollars. And Ford and all the big companies are making billions of dollars selling a vehicle that doesn't have to meet the EPA standard, safety standards, or anything else. And the Democratic Party wants to talk about go green. And the Democrats buy the SUVs and the gas guzzling stuff. There's a lot of things that need to be exposed. And you've got people that get tripped over what I say instead of hearing the heart of it all. Pandora the Eclectic was bizarre. No one really wants to listen to her unless they're just like her. And all she could do was make several videos saying Pacific Ocean Asia still sucks. Simply because I said the Bible says homosexuality is a sin. But people in America no longer know what sin means. They define sin in their own mind. Some people think it's a sin to do the environment what we're doing. Some people think it's a sin to animal cruelty, but yet they'll coolly and nonchalantly defend an abortion. And that's why the left, and that's why Democrats, and that's why Zuckerberg and Google and YouTube don't like us, because we're speaking out, we're being heard. And in order for socialism to get off the ground, you have to silence voices like me and millions of others that are sick and tired of being spoon-fed this rubbish. People like to put me in a neat little box. Are you trans? No, I just like to be sexy. Is there anything wrong with that? And there are Christians that would pick apart Bible verse, say, well, you're not supposed to be effeminate. Yeah, you're right. But are you supposed to be a rabid materialist? You bought your wife an SUV, you made her spoiled, pampered brat. You take your kids to Awanas, you all go to church, and you all talk about your dogs and your husband's little woodworking projects. And if you're not just like them, you're excluded from the group. That's Christianity, right? But America, go to every church and nothing changes. I have male friends that have gone to churches, and if you're my age and you're single, you are not welcome. If you don't have kids, if you're not part of a family thing, you are ignored on Sunday morning. Churches beg people to be greeters, to be fake, we need people to greet. We need people to greet in an American church. Why is that? We can't just naturally welcome people? No, the churches are incapable of that. But we got these neo churches where the guy wears a Hawaiian dressed down, button down shirt, and they're trying to reinvent Jesus in all different kinds of ways. You get some megalomaniac in the pulpit that instead of getting a job bussing tables or driving school buses or construction work, they're going to walk up there and impress everybody with their little bit of knowledge. And you'll have the cult following within the cult following that says, oh, we love this pastor. He's so good. Oh my gosh, you got to come to our church. Any woman that uses the term, oh my God, and oh my gosh, run. People have judged me all my life. Christians, Democrats, Republicans, gay, straight. But the biggest amount of condemnation I've ever received is from American women, just for my entrance into this world. So they taught me to learn to judge back and judge rightly. When churches aren't preaching the truth about the nasty snarkiness of American women and, in fact, pedestalizing them and beating on men and saying, you need to love your wives as Christ loved the church. What does that look like, preacher boy? What does that look like? Pedestalize their selfishness? Let them dominate and throw their weight around in the home? I'm going to say it that American Christianity doesn't look anything like the Bible. That you go to other countries like China, and an underground church in China doesn't look anything like the big box Joel Osteen church in America. I've talked about women in our culture for years, and I'm going to say it loud and I'm going to say it clear. They have virtually nothing to bring to the table as far as passion, depth, mystery. They're cookie cutter, factory stamped productions of a corporate, crazy world that blitzkriegs you every evening on TV about the need for an SUV. Doggy commercials, Starbucks commercials, flim flam bric-a-brac commercials. And people want to judge me because I do bizarre things. The disconnect between biblical truth and biblical attitudes and being kind to people is massive in American culture. People in church are supposed to be real. The church is probably the most plastic place you can go in American culture. More plastic in a church today than there is in a Chinese toy factory. And why is that? Churches have things on their sign, come as you are. Really? What if I was to walk into church like this? Not with my nipple shown, but what would they do? And they'd have a problem with it. But then you got in churches embracing homosexuality and saying there's nothing wrong with it. Then you have a Pandora the eclectic from the past who demonizes me because I dared to say that homosexuality is a sin. I have never been insensitive. I've had my own wrestles and struggles with things. And to have people demonize me, caricature me as some gay man. All the trolls that I had on my channel, none of them were from outside the country. None. They were Americans. That's noteworthy. That's noteworthy. I'm not a danger to anybody. I work hard. I try to follow the laws. I try to respect people. And only in America can you be attacked, dogged, harassed just for being you. We have more bullies in this nation than anywhere else. We have more rude, unmannerly, disgusting human beings in this country than anywhere else. People want to talk about Chinese government, which is corrupt and fucked as hell. But let's talk about Americans. Let's talk about how nasty they are. How holier than thou they like to pretend to be, whether they're Christian or not. Atheists gang up on somebody because they dared to say the God word. Anti-lifers that promote murder of children, 61 million dead, which is genocide. and defend that as choice when they failed to make the first choice of not having sex. Want to look down their nose at me. And I'm supposed to look at that and think, and that's intellectual how? When dog food commercials and silly barking dogs with perfect little middle class, yucky, stereotypical, sterilized homes with some flaky woman who's never had any stress in her world as she jumps in her SUV and goes to Starbucks and her little dog, rap, rap, when most of us are suffering. The corporate world and the left is generating this. You hurt a dog, you go to jail. You kill a baby in the womb, you're exercising your right to choice. That abortion people cannot see the illogic insanity of their fallacious thinking is proof that this country is ripe for a meteorite to just go, and I wish it would. Quit saying we're the land of the free, the home of the brave. The only ones that are brave are the ones engaging in wickedness and hatred and riots and tearing stuff up. The only ones that are free are the criminals and the mentally unstable and the rude ass jerks that get in their car every day and cut you off and go wee with a suit and tie. Nothing's done to stop the momentum of crazy behavior in this country. So quit bragging about pie and apple pie and your flag and your Chevy. This country is disgusting. You want to fixate on me and this, but you don't fixate on the real problems. The churches want to focus on men and lust. Well, Pastor, why don't you quit looking at the cleavage sitting down in front of you that you enjoy seeing and start asking why men are looking at porn and lusting, why men are done with American women, why men don't go to church, why men don't want to go to church where pastors and worship pastors that are making 50 to 100,000 a year, as if we need that, to sing the same boring 7-Eleven songs that are all female geared. I just want to love you more, Jesus. I'm sorry, I'm a man. I don't want to sing that kind of crap. But this is the group that said, oh, we don't want to listen to the old hymns. They're stodgy and difficult. Only because your brain isn't functioning. They don't want to sing a mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. It's too manly. It's too intellectual for them. They want to bring God down to their level like a bubblegum machine, that plastic opaque bubble with the cheap toy inside. That's what they want in church. Put your quarter in, turn the knob out. Wee, look, mommy. That's what church has become. It's not changing anybody. We're not seeing revival. Boy, am I cutting loose or am I cutting loose? We're not affecting change. The guy that had some really awful dark blue lipstick on and a half shirt sitting at the club the other day, and he was drawing comics. He says, you want to draw? I said, I'm not as good as you. I'll watch. Oh, no, it's okay. And I said, no, I can't even draw a stick figure, dude. And a man who's had no problem getting girlfriend after girlfriend, and he's shredded them like socks. He said, I would love to have a guy that cooks for me and do the gay thing, except I just don't feel comfortable with the sex part. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, that one right there. But the guy was being trans, but he was kind to me and he was offering me to draw, and he drew freehand pretty remarkably. I try to relate to people where they're at. I try to realize what drives people to do what they do. Why is a guy wearing ugly lipstick and a half? And I rock it better than him if I wanted to play that game. And I don't do lipstick, but I could do some maroony lipstick, put on a female shirt, and I could walk right in there and sit in there and not have people taking up on the advantage. Can I buy you a drink? Well, I don't drink. Sometimes I wonder what it'd be like to be spoiled by a guy who suddenly buys me things and takes me to dinner and treats me the way these women are treated and catered to, and men fall all over them. That if I rocked it enough, there are men that would open their wallets for me. Except there's one problem. I can't get into a male aspect. I'm into women. I'm into breasts, nipples, areolas, clean underarms, not all that hair. I'm not interested in some guy that's big and fat and balding with a 2-inch little smoky between his legs. I mean, that just to me is just, there's nothing there. But what is psychologically happening in the United States of America is that men are even entertaining different thoughts because girls are a pain. Men have been conditioned to cater to the whims and the fickleness of females. Now you hear the term she shed. Man, if you don't stop catering to that, you keep the problem alive. And I'm getting older, and the day's going to come when my body and my looks are no longer desirable. But you got a whole bunch of women out there that are fast, more fast than me, heading that way, where they'll be undesirable. Then what are they going to do? What are they going to play? What fiddle and violin are they going to play on the one string they had that just snapped their beauty? The transgender lifestyle is not the answer. I believe it is fraught through with mental issues. My opinion and observation. Why this administration is pushing this on such the majority of the people when transgender is extremely small minority. And why did we get here? Women dominate the education system. Women dominate the home. Women dominate the roads. Women dominate everything. Women no longer back up. Women are no longer humble. And guys don't know how to act anymore. Guys have been transmogrified and turned into chameleons. They want to eat dinner at the Y so bad that they'll accommodate, facilitate, and give a platform for these women to continue on in this behavior. That's why we had the whole MGTOW movement, and we talked about red pill, blue pill, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Men stop catering to these females. Just being yourself, standing on the truth in this country will get you all the attack and hatred and suffering you can imagine. No one is persecuting the trans and the gay and the lesbian community. That is a myth brought to you compliments of the Democrat lying party. Gays have more rights, and trans men and women have more rights than I do. I worked at Denver Public Schools transportation for years. Do not anymore. I do not live there. And a Hispanic female who was known to cause lots of workplace tensions and problems and hostility in the workplace walks in the break room in front of everybody and says, "My coochie itches." And I looked at her and I said, "Really?" And called her by name. "Well, I'm just being honest." I said, "And if I was to walk in and say my balls itch, what would happen?" "Haha, you'd probably get fired." We know that society spins around women and gays and everything else. I got called in the office at Durham School Services in Spokane by a guy whose last name had the word rude in it, and he was all of that. Thought he was a rock star with his shades propped up on his head, overweight, balding. I come into any workplace respecting individuals, but I had a strong distaste for this guy. Low level management who was friends with all the overweight, obese girls in the place and thought he was all that on a shtick. I got called into his office because two women overheard my comment. One of the guys that drove came up and mentioned that somebody was gay. And I quietly said, I didn't know he was a butt pirate. And another driver said, that wasn't very nice. I said, I'm sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. Issue done. 2 weeks later, somebody had called me. Or I called somebody by the wrong name. I forgot his name. I said, I'm sorry. And he called me by the name of somebody who worked in there, who was gay, who was rude, who was immature, who got all kinds of favoritism, had an attitude, and management never did anything. Management liked to harass people like me, but not the shitty people in there. But that's Durham in general. They're a toilet bowl contract bus company that micromanages the hell out of employees, drives them into insanity, and nobody's going to stay there for 20 years unless they're out of their mind. The favoritism that was shown, obnoxious fringe people, was self-evident. And I said, don't call me that name. And another woman in there says, why do you got a problem with that? I said, because my name is Mike, not blank. I got called in the office by Mr. Rude. That's not his real name, but that's part of it. And he was very rude. And I said, I did say butt pirate, and I took ownership from it. And if I understand things correctly, I stopped. So that's a non-issue. This other thing, I'm being called somebody else's name. And even he said, what do you got against, we're going to use the word Charlie. I said, that has nothing to do with anything. I want to be called by my name. And at that time, I had an immigration attorney working on the failed relationship I was trying to get to the U.S. And I said, as you know, I have an attorney working on something, and I've already talked. I have a right to be called by my name. And I threw that out there because this guy was clearly on the verge of being unprofessional and just finding a way to get rid of me. I was not a problem employee, but apparently he was conducive to embracing the gay segment in the workplace. This is a guy that when I came to him one day and I said, maybe we should have an incentive for people cleaning buses because I get in these spares. They're filthy. It's frustrating. I was very nice to him and he said, well, maybe we ought to have an incentive for people to shave their face. I don't know why I didn't stand up and say, that was rude and uncalled for, boss, and I'm going to report you to your superior. There is no rule in here about shaving, and I've got 2 days growth. You're out of line. The boss was an asshole. He pulled into the lot one day in his Toyota pickup. The TRD on the side, it stands for totally retarded driver. Pulls in with his entourage of men. As he pulls around the corner, I'm walking from my boss, and he looks at me with this look. I'm like, man, I'm an employer. I do my job well, and this guy's looking at me like he wants to run me over. Welcome to America. You stand up for what's right. You be different than what they're trying to squeeze you into. You are singled out and harassed. I worked there 1 year and I said, I'm out of here. The other people, one lady said, she went to management and said, I want to know why Pacific is being harassed in here. He's one of our best drivers, best employees. And I feel like management is ganging up on this guy. And all the men sitting in there had to remove the penises from their mouth and go, "Oh, what are you talking about?" This is the kind of a world we live in. You're not allowed to have an opinion different than socialist Marxist assholes that are ramming this shit down your throat. You're not allowed to have an opinion that goes against Google's so-called fact checking. Google doesn't stand on facts. It's an oppressive, domineering thing that bashes its way into every computer system in America, wants to be the mainframe. YouTube was taken over by Google and it's no longer democratic. You get sticky notes if you contest the last election. You get sticky notes if you talk about spherical heating. You have to be clever and change terms so that it doesn't red flag your account. Only liberals and morons come up with shit like that. And they're the ones screaming freedom. You want freedom to murder your baby. Tell me how that's freedom for the child in there. A heart beating, breathing child in the womb that you're killing. And you're going to sit there and say, choice? That child had a vote, right? The hypocrisy and the silliness of women that worship their dogs and coolly dismiss, and I'm sick of them calling it a fetus and unborn. If a man murders a woman who's pregnant and he's charged with 2, but a woman can have an abortion, which is murder, and it's unborn. How does the terms change? Because America is stupid. That's why. They get hung up over shit like this. They get hung up over the fact that I have thick glasses. They get hung up because you didn't buy that cool car and you're driving that old thing. They get hung up because you don't make enough money. America's all about packaging, but not about substance. I've gotten attacked by more people in this country than anywhere I've ever lived. Well, that don't make sense. I've only lived overseas 13 months. But guess what? When you be yourself, there are people even in this country that will be attracted to you and accept you. This idea that you men got to change for women, if a woman is into you, you don't have to change. If you have to change, that's because she's not into you. She's got a motive. If you got to change your clothes, change your car, why does she want to be with you? I dated a black woman who didn't like my hair, didn't like my clothes. I said, why are you dating me then? Because I like you. Well, obviously you don't. Really? The transgender is another way to reinvent the wheel and it comes out square. The thump, the thump, the thump, the thump. It doesn't roll smooth. You want to wear girl clothes, do it. You want to wear a dress and have your sweaty, smelly armpits and the stubble that you forgot to clean up under there and hair all over your chest with a girl's bra. I'm going to look at that and go, ah. But if it makes you feel like a rock star, no one's stopping you. There are very few people in this country attracted to genuine. Don't believe me? Look at our commercials. Look at the way people act on the roads. They went to college, got a degree, Fortune 500 companies, whatever. They're not professional. They're not kind and courteous. But those same morons will get out of that SUV and go into the halls of a workplace and, how you doing today? I'm doing well. The fake is fully in place. Take a video showing how they drove and ran a school bus stop sign and cut everybody off, and you honked and they went like that, and show that to their underlings in the corporate world. This is your boss. You can fool people of who you are until they see how you drive your car. And Americans do not put all that together. Obsession with SUVs, obsession with dogs, obsession with your right to murder is going to make people great. I don't think so. You're shallow, you're selfish, you drive like an asshole, you spend money like an asshole, you're inconsiderate of the so-called environment, even though you vote Democrat when you buy gas guzzling shit that's four-wheel drive when you live in a place that you never need it. And I agree. Obsession with a dirty, filthy dog that licks its ass, eats dead things in the streets, drinks out of the toilet, and then you sit there as a grown woman letting it lick your face. But let a man walk in during COVID with no mask, and you're like, you need to put on a mask. Oh, but you let your dog just drink out of the loo, just lick your face to death. Okay, women, you're credible. Uh-huh. When you hit the cord, when you step on the toe, you're going to be attacked. Every time. You can be trans and gay and worship doggies all day long. They'll leave you the hell alone. You can buy your SUV, drive like an asshole. Nobody's going to bother you. But you stand up and you call out the shit in this society. They'll mock, make fun, belittle, call you names because they cannot stand on intellectual fact. I'm glad that a guy said that SUV owners and drivers are assholes. I think it's fitting. I've been saying it for years. SUVs are driven by assholees. It's amazing how a turd geekster man can get in a Toyota Sequoia, never ran a push mower, never worked a hard day in his life, had to sit in his sweaty suit and tie shirt all day in an office bullshitting people, can now get behind a Toyota Sequoia with his hand draped over the wheel and think he's a badass with his little ding-dong 10-cent wife with him who lives the good life. Yeah, impressive. Welcome to America. Land of the rude, land of the selfish, land of the hateful, land of the extremely divided, land of the pussies and the wussies and the cowards too, all in the Republican Party. We're really changing, aren't we? We're really changing the tenor of this, or the tempo of this country. The church is really making a difference in America, isn't it? The church is insipid. The church is a mess. It's like the Kool-Aid that was icy cold that sat out in the hot sun with the kids jumping in the pool, and now there's flies on the lip of the glass, and somebody picks it up and says, this is good. That's today's church. Guess what, folks? When you calls it like it is, the crowd that doesn't get it, of course, they're going to hate you, and they're going to roast your ass and hand it to you on a platter. The transgender thing isn't working. It isn't making better people. It isn't improving society. The gay and lesbians haven't made society a better place. I mean, you look at a lot of gay militant men and gay militant women, none of them are beautiful. None of them are pretty. I mean, you could look at lipstick lesbian porn, but that's not what's shown in the pride parades. It's weirdos. It's men in panties that are rainbow colored acting bizarre, screaming about their rights, the happy, angry people that they are. Most of the gays, most of the lesbian women that are in those parades are ghastly to look at. Nobody's stopping them from doing what they want in their bedroom. Nobody. We're not being liberated by a gay society. Transgender people are not liberating in a breath of fresh air. Look at Bud Light losing billions of dollars and still throwing money at the LGBT. What are they doing? Committing company suicide? Yeah, Target is too. Target's now saying tear down Mount Rushmore. Since when did Target, which was based out of Minneapolis, which is a lily white corporation that has gouged the hell out of people, made massive profits, is going to tell us about morality? You've got to be kidding me. Saying we stole the land. Well, guess what, Dayton Hudson? Minnesota was full of Indians, and guess where you parked your ass? Why don't you get the hell out? Why don't you give all your profits and all your stores to the natives and leave? Oh, you don't want to do that. But American women and American consumers, hi ho, I got to go to Target. Amazon is as corrupt as hell. But almost everybody, including my conservative friends, have to order stuff through them. No one will do what it takes to shipwreck these companies because they got you hooked. So don't talk about change. You keep buying from the assholes that are making money and buying voting machines and affecting the outcome of the election. Jeff Bezos and friends and Zuckerberg. I'm using Facebook, but I use Facebook to rip and tear. But I don't shop at Target. I don't drink, so I don't buy Bud Light. Who is behind all this pushing bizarre shit? I don't know. I really don't know. But we know the Democrats are embracing it. But hell, how many women in America watch a stupid show called The View? All of them ugly women. None of them are what I would call beautiful, sexy. And look at those women. Look very closely at them. You want a relationship with that? That's invigorating and a breath of fresh air? I don't think so. Can you imagine being stuck with Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, or any of those women on there? I can't imagine making love to them would be passionate and exciting. They're crusty crabs. They're the end product of liberalism. Ugly, lifeless, passionless, thinking that they're the arrival of, therefore I am. Thinking they're little goddesses that can't dress right, spend too much money on their dowdy, ugly clothing, full of dripping arrogance, acting like a bunch of teenage girls. And the show's lasted for what, 20 years? And you think America's doing well. But let's worry about Pacific and what he's saying. Let's worry about the way he dresses. Yeah, I'm a danger to everything, huh? I've affected nobody financially. I haven't affected your paycheck. I'm not a danger as your neighbor. Now we're getting somewhere.